A night of artistic renewal, representation equals power, invites you to celebrate the richness of African American culture through the fine arts and film. Immerse yourself in the eloquence of spoken word poetry, mesmerizing African and urban ballroom dance, and soul-stirring musical performances that uplift and inspire. Don't miss your chance to witness this beautifully impactful movement. A night of artistic renewal. Representation equals power.
Hello, everyone. We're here today with Miss Dionne D Hunter. She is the director, organizer behind the project, also the MC behind the project that we were so happy to receive this year at the 5th Annual Her Vision Film Festival, International Her Vision Film Festival. It is called A Night of Artistic Renewal.
Yes.
And I'd love to welcome Miss Dionne to our little interview today, our our platform, and just thank you for your time and your submission. How are you, Dionne?
Oh, I'm wonderful. I'm absolutely ecstatic to be here with you. It's such an honor, and I appreciate you all asking me to be here.
Aw, thank you. Yes, no, really, your submission to me spoke to me on so many levels. But first, I believe your background too is so interesting. You have seems like you've done a lot in your life. You're military, correct?
Yes.
So if you want to kind of take us through like your background, I think it's so interesting you went from that field into the arts, right? So if you want to kind of just walk us through your journey a bit, I think this is fascinating.
Oh, well, yeah. Thank you for saying that. Well, I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama. And, I've always been or had an artistic mind. When I was a child, I was into poetry, and I was a visual artist myself and did that throughout high school and whatnot. Then after graduating high school, I went into the United States Navy. Then after that, I became a mother, part of corporate America, raising my kids, and kind of lost myself into that realm. You wrap yourself around your family, your kids, your job, and for me, that was that was the essence of life. Okay, and which was good, and then the kids began to grow up and venture out on their own, graduating high school, going into college. And my husband and I divorced. So I was, alone, an empty nester at a fairly early age. And I really had to figure out, what am I going to do now? My time was always wrapped up around going to basketball practice or helping with homework or staying for overtime at work. And I just sat down and thought, what were the things outside of the children, outside of my job, that used to give me joy when I had time? And I found my way back to poetry. And I began to visit open mic nights. I began to write, and that led me to performing, which thankfully a lot of people seem to enjoy. And that led me to producing my own show in Ohio called A Night of Artistic Seduction, and evolved into A Night of Artistic Renewal, which is in its 5th year as of this year.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's amazing.
Only 15 of 50 have realized our dream this day.
So you're in your 5th year now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what has, like, so it's obviously this drive, this passion that you have for the arts, but it's also very obviously a community based theme, vibe. So how did you kind of like, so from, a night of artistic seduction, how did that bridge happen to where it's, kind of morphed into something else a bit? Do you want to take us through that? Yes.
Yeah, sure. Well, it was always community focused. I always had that in mind with a night of artistic seduction. The seduction piece of it was that I wanted people to be seduced by the art, you know, uh, wanted to bring them into the fold and be overcome or overtaken by the art. That was the initial plan. And I wanted it to be a free endeavor, although at that point in Cleveland, there weren't a lot of grant options available for individual artists. So the free option kind of went to the wayside because you along with bringing the arts to the public, you also want to be able to pay your artist. you
Sure.
know. So I had to kind of morph it a little bit and make it into a paid, actionable endeavor. So we had comedy. We were at a art collective. So we had there were sculpt sculptures and photos and whatnot, as well as the poets, dance, you name it, we had it. Then when I moved here to Charlotte, Charlotte was and is a lot more so far. Who knows with how the state of things are right now, but we're gonna put positivity into the air, right?
There
Okay.
before the grace of God go we. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. So has been very, very positive towards individual artists. They have grants, a lot of grants that go towards individuals and grants that go towards companies per se. And as of now, I'm just an individual, or not just a, but a individual that has a event series. So it allowed me to put my own investment into it, but also have that backing of the financial of the artistic community. So here in Charlotte, I was able to expand and have some of those same artistic elements, but just on a larger level. So we were able to have a bigger stage, the Blumenthal Performing Arts Center, which is a large theater downtown. I was able to bring, because when you're wanting to get people excited about something, you want them to have a different experience than the norm, you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so the family being able to, because I aim for underserved communities with the invitation to all. Okay.
Mhm.
But kids, it's a fact that kids who are introduced to the arts do better in school. They stay more focused and they're more excited to go, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so having the event at a large theater makes for an exciting night. Everybody gets dressed up. They're able to, come out with the family. And then we're able to have kids free from 10 to 17.
Oh,
Uh, yeah. And the cost for families is very low. So you don't have to leave anybody home, you know?
lovely.
Yeah. So,
No, I'm very fascinated by you because it seems like you have so many brilliant ideas and so many facets to your life. again, coming out of the military into the arts, and you have the thoughtfulness and the wherewithal to include everyone in a family, embrace the community and push the arts out there. So I'm just wondering, so now, so you have your like your mission statement, right? Your goal. I also love what you repeat through, the event, representation is power, right? That's in line with what we're doing as well. So how did you like approach the fellow artists with you, like take us through what a pitch might have been to them, or did you just know them from being, in the community, in the artistic community, so it was just as simple as a phone call? You could, give us a little bit more. Yes.
Well, both actually.
Oh,
So, like I said, this is the fifth year we began filming each one. So the first one in Charlotte was in 2020, whenever, I can't remember you got me so excited I can't get my dates together. But we've been filming all along. But once we got to Blumenthal in 2023 was when we really got serious about filming, and that's the production that we submitted,
yes.
to you. Um, but we have, I worked with several of the artists before, like the Emmy Award winning spoken word artist Blues Rogers. We have the Charlotte's poet laureate Jay Ward. Those are folks who I've worked with here in Charlotte. And then I looked out towards other people who I've seen work. And, I just explained to them what I wanted to do. Hey, I want to bring the arts to the community. I feel like these kids out here need to see positive representation of themselves on stage. They need to see something other than what is normally put up in the news, okay? Because there's more to us than this one dimensional caricature that is portrayed a lot of the time. I want to highlight your talent, and I want to give you the opportunity to share your talent with, youth on a wide level. And how can you say no to that?
Right, right. No, and see, that's what I love about this whole initiative that you've started, because it really is an initiative. You really have like put out a platform for people, working beside you to elevate, each other and put, great art out there. The purchasing, Mr. J. Ward, who you mentioned, I really loved. He was one of my favorites. I was just
Yes.
like blown away. I could listen to him say amen all day long. Just the way he sings that is just like beautiful. Just really, poet laureate. You can't get more eloquent than that, right?
Right.
So, just beautiful. The dancers, the charity organization that you invited on, Stolen, what was their name? I'm sorry. Stolen Baskets.
Lunches, yes.
Yes, yeah, they were, so poetic as well, and what they're bringing to the community.
So, Stolen Lunches is a ministry 501c3 nonprofit in Charlotte.
And I think what you're really putting out there too is something people can learn from, just to take that initiative. I think so many people want to do something like this, right? Or to put it in more perspective of like what, a film festival is like. So a filmmaker, right? I think, I think what holds so many people back is just that first phone call to someone, right? That first, hey, I have this idea, can we work on it together? I think that's such a hard step for people. So I just wonder if you could just give us a little bit more on, like, how did you find that courage to take that first step, right?
Well, I mean, that you make some very good points there. When I was in Cleveland, as I said, I was going for a totally free event, but I didn't have access to grants. So I was really going to people asking them to perform for free. The even the platforms or locations for free, and that took a lot of courage. Number one, because as an artist, a lot of this is how we make our bread and butter. But I tried to offset that by saying that uh, they would have the ability to have merchandise available at the events. Um, it took a lot, but I felt like what I was trying to do was worth the hurt feelings I might get from someone saying no. And honestly, I don't have very tough skin. So, sometimes you might come home and shed a tear. But what I like to get out of things is that you learn from, you take from experiences and try to, do better. So, that show was successful, even though I actually, I have to give a little thank you. My dad's birthday was February the 1st,
Oh,
um, and he passed away in 2022.
oh,
But I'm sorry,
no,
but
totally understand. I'm a daddy's girl. No, God bless him. Yeah.
I couldn't get the financing for the show. And I called him up and I told him about it, what was going on. And he told me that he would lend me the money. And that's how I actually was able to, get the first show off, uh, uh, you know, produced. And he drove up from or flew up from Birmingham and, came to see the production. And, my dad, he was always a very straightforward type guy. So you never got a lot of praise from him. Let's just say like that.
Uh,
But that night he told me that he was proud of me, and that was one of the best moments I think of my life at that point. But getting back to your point, then coming here, speaking to like a Emmy Award winning poet like Blues or the poet laureate like Jay or like D.S. Will was the head of the a film festival in Raleigh, North Carolina. Just so, and I hate to leave anybody out, but there's just so many well-known artists, and then some very new artists like Linda Orgy, who is just a phenomenal artist in her own right. So it was pretty overwhelming to step to these people, and I'm thinking in my mind, who am I? But you know what you have to say to yourself?
hmm.
What's the worst they can say? Yeah, yes or no. That's the worst they can say is yes or no. And then you move on. If they say yes, then it's a yes. If they say no, maybe you ask for some feedback. What did how could I have presented this better? What did you like about the presentation? What did you not like about the presentation? And, and don't mind their honesty. And, just be open to feedback and also bring positivity to the table. And most times, positivity will come back to you.
Beautiful. Yeah, no, again, I just love the energy that you brought to this. I think it's so ingenious too, right? Because somebody else could have just left it as like, oh, it's the event, but you thought as much like as to record it as well, right? So it's almost like as much as a performance piece as it is a documentary, right?
Yes. Yes. So we're going to expand on it as time goes, but it is very much, you know, these performers being able to lay themselves on the line, to speak on, you know, I think one of our shows was History in Living Color. The next one was Representation Equals Power. And it it allows for history telling. Okay, a lot of the poetry was about the history of, Charlotte. Some just in general about the United States. I like to intertwine the arts, like the visual art, the spoken word, the dance, the music, because again, if let's say you've never heard spoken word, but you like dance, maybe you will come to the event to see the dance, but then you're introduced to poetry and you're introduced to visual art. And then you're like, wow, these are things that were never on my radar. How do I find out more about this? And, so it's a way to build bridges as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. I have to ask because, like, again, I find you so fascinating in what your work and what you're doing. Like, and only, of course, if you want to go into this, but your time in the military, would you want to discuss that? Because I think it's so powerful to have a female being represented. I think, when we think, army, we automatically think male. So I just wonder if you want to, give any thoughts, either, on how you feel females in the army are treated, or representation, or just any maybe personal experience. You were in the Navy, right? What your training was like. Because again, I just, you're such an interesting person, I believe. I don't know if you get told that often enough, but it just seems like you have such a dynamic life, a dynamic personality. So yeah, if you just want to walk us through that a bit, please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I honestly, could I take a moment to close the door here? Because
Oh,
I hear
certainly,
some
certainly,
background
certainly.
noise. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
See my jogging pants. Okay. Uh, regarding my military service, I was in the United States Navy. And honestly, until I graduated, I was I had no intentions about going into the military. Like I said, I always had an artistic mind. I had a dream of going to the Art Institute of Atlanta, and life, as they say, life be lifing, and I thought I was grown, and um, you know had to make some hard choices. And one of the options that was laid out in front of me by my dad was the military. And so I decided to go in. You have to test to get into the military. I did well. But one thing I want to let you know, that this was many, many, many moons ago. Okay, so I graduated high school in 1988. Back then, women weren't allowed in combat situations.
Wow.
So the wait to get into a school training, for me, I wanted to be an electrician. The wait to get into school was 2 years for a female.
Wow.
Yeah. So I went, to live with my uncle, who was a chief in the Navy, and started a life, got a job, ended up moving out, had, an apartment. And then 6 months in, I get a call from the recruiter that says your school opened up. I come back to Birmingham, and then when I get there, I'm signing my papers. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna love being a torpedoman's mate." And I'm like, "No, I'm supposed to be an electrician." And, and they say, "Well, we know that you didn't want to wait the full 2 years, and someone dropped out. I believe someone got pregnant. Someone dropped out, and the school opened up, so we brought you back." And so that was a shock to me, to say the least.
So you're working on torpedoes, right?
Working, working. I was like, torpedoes blow up, right? No,
So you have to be like what, like 18, 20 years old, right? Graduated college
Yeah,
recent.
no, I graduated when I
High
was
school, high school. You
when I was
straight.
17, and they called me. I was, going on 18 by the time I got in. But you know, I did gain a lot from it. I was always pretty diligent. As I said, my dad was, really strict. But, I had the opportunity to meet a lot of different people, to just learn a lot of different things. It was a good experience overall. If I had the opportunity to go back in time, I probably would have stayed in longer. But there was some some tragedy involved with that. Um, I don't know how deep you want to get into it.
However you're comfortable, this is your piece. We want to highlight you, whatever you feel comfortable with.
So I'll just briefly kind of touch over it. But so like this year's show that I'm presently working on deals with mental health, the importance of mental health, and getting over the stigmas that cause us to not work towards taking care of our mental health. Um, why I bring that up is because while I was in the military, or actually on my way to basic training, I was attacked, sexually assaulted. And
Right.
I was so embarrassed by that. I didn't share it. And, you know, it was ultimately, it was, I was just a young girl who was supposed to get picked up at a certain time at a certain place. And they were late picking me up, and some things happened, blah, blah, blah. We don't have to get into that. But
Yeah.
the point being is that because of the stigma, I felt like even though I was left, I felt like it was my fault.
There's something. No, yeah, there's something there. I don't know what it is exactly, but this is a common, tragically common. You're just there minding your own business. And even if you weren't minding your own
Right,
business, no is no,
right.
you know? So I think it's it turns into, oh, it had to be my fault.
Hmm.
Out of all the women in the world, why they didn't do, we like to take responsibility. As much as we like to take responsibility for our achievements, I think we like to take responsibility for our pain, and because if not, it feels so totally out of control. I believe that your mind can't handle that, right? That's what I think it is, having gone through some stuff. But because it's like, out of all the people in the world, why me then? Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's, I think in some way it's some weird defense mechanism. Somehow it's all tied up in there of like, we have to justify it. So we don't know what that person's walk is. We can only internalize, so say, oh, it must have been, because I was there and I was looking like this, or I was talking like that, or, whatever excuses we like to, you know, of course, it's really just to kind of justify, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
what happened. Like, we have to find the reasoning. In finding the reasoning, the blame kind of shifts internally.
You're one, and it took a lot of years of therapy to get to what you're saying, because sometimes there's no you can't get into somebody else's mind to figure out why they did something.
We walk around not knowing how much chaos we're in.
Hmm.
Where, if you think about it, look at the planes that just went down, right? The one in Philadelphia, one I think fell in a house or something. So
Hmm.
we got to imagine somebody's just sitting in their house having tea, having coffee, boom, a plane falls out of so
Right,
we like to think that there's causation in things. To an extent there is in some things,
right,
to an extent, but
right.
we're
We can
walking
all
around just
say
dodging bullets all day,
Right. We
honestly.
can all say there's an underlying plan, but what we're talking about is that we are not responsible for for someone else's actions.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so it took me a long time to deal with that, and I'm still dealing with it, even after all of these many years, and so this fifth year anniversary or whatnot, it's a night of artistic renewal, hope, healing, and triumph will be
Uh,
the 2025 edition. And I'm hoping to bring in not only the artists performing to that theme, but also having professionals there to give referrals and information.
so you're going to have information at this next event, meaning you'll have brochures out to where people can find help, perhaps counselors on hand. Um,
That's the plan in the lobby of the theater. We'll have those tools available, and then in the place of and we'll also have one of those organizations, or maybe more. I don't know at this point. Make some type of presentation on stage, but we want to give people a visual of the different scenarios of life's challenges and ways of moving through those challenges and positive and with positivity, that they can hopefully take home with them and add to their own toolkit.
yes, yes. No, that's beautiful. And it will be the same theater, the same venue.
Yes, same venue, and some of the same artists. I know I've mentioned a couple of the same ones over a couple of times, but I do, if you don't mind,
Oh,
I
please.
want to. So ASC, the Arts and Science Council, is who so generously supplied grant money, which allowed us to, finish the production. Then we had African Dance by Moving Spirits Incorporated. We had a young lady. I always tried to incorporate the youth into the production. So Caitlin Smith, she was a student, or she still is a student in the area, and she came and did a presentation. Mason Parker, a phenomenal lyricist. He performed for us. He's a rapper. Positive, brought some positivity into the room. Spunk Adams was the saxophonist you saw that did the combo with blues. Robert Fitzgerald of Dancing with Champagne and Tiffany J, they partnered up and they actually did ballroom dance. He called it a mini musical. So, he told a story within his dance compilation. We had Jared Sims is the actual cinematographer who shot everything and actually edited. And Dante Bland, he did the photography for our show. I had the opportunity to put all of these artists together and to scope everything out and to plan out the production. But these artists actually I mentioned Linda Orgy, Blues, and Jay Ward. But all of these artists, they had the ability to put their stories out there, especially Linda. I don't know if you, well, let me change that. I know that you remember Linda and the story that she told that kind of leads into what we were just speaking about, to have the courage to get on stage and to open yourself up, your heart, your life up to the public so that others hopefully don't have to go through the same thing that you went through, or so that they have the strength to ask for help. I think it gives me little goosebumps.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, no, because, I think people walk around thinking in a way that they're the only ones that have gone through this broken glass with bare feet, right?
Right.
Because it's just because it's overwhelming to think other people, have suffered similar issues too, because you could just kind of get lost in that feeling of hopelessness that way. But if you see somebody like yourself it sounds so trivial to reduce it to this, because I guess it's cliche in a way to say, life gives you melons, make lemonade. But it shows that it can be done. It shows that there's another side, to the suffering. There's the victory, the triumph, the emotional maturity that comes, with being a survivor of something like this.
Yes.
It gives you that, that knowledge of like, oh, okay, this is how I started to heal.
And the power, you're taking the power back
Yes.
from the pain and, using it to move yourself forward.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Exactly.
And that
Exactly.
can be, and it can be used in so many formats. It doesn't necessarily have to be like in my case because of a sexual assault or what we're talking about in regards to Linda. It can be in any realm. There every day we go to work. That you can run into trauma just because you're of your boss, or just like the federal employees are having to go through so much mental turmoil, having to figure out what's going to happen next, or you know what I mean,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
that's happening in a corporation. You have to roll out of bed and put one foot up in front of the other every day. And where do we get that strength from? And sometimes it's just from seeing that somebody else was able to do the same thing.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Like, I sometimes have those moments, when sitting in traffic, believe it or not, because you're looking at like this highway full of other people, just trying to make their way there, and what it took for them to get out of bed. They had to have breakfast, they had to have coffee, they had to kiss their family goodbye. They had to get over not having anybody to kiss goodbye on the way out the door. Yes, exactly. All this that goes into being a human, Yeah, just to see you're not alone in something.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's definitely power in that.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. One last thing, and then I'll let you go. What is, I know, right? Famous last words. What has surprised you the most out of, doing this for 5 years now?
Ooh, what has surprised me the most?
Yeah.
Mm. Well, you know what? Honestly, I always thought that it was an important endeavor, um, but really, I didn't understand the the ultimate, the real difference that it could make. I thought it could make a difference, but I didn't understand how much of a difference. So you don't, when you're somewhere just minding your own business, having a coffee or sitting at the park with your grandkids, in my case, and someone walks up to you and they say, "Hey, you're Dionne. I saw your show and you don't understand how it helped me." Or my son saw it, or, it really touched me when this happened. That, you know, who doesn't want to be a millionaire? Okay. But that is actually more fulfilling
Yes.
than any amount of money. Knowing that you have made a difference, a positive difference in someone's life, someone, you know, that if they hadn't bumped into you that day, you would never know. So
Right.
if it's that one person, then is it five? Is it 10? Is it 20? Is it 50 people walking around on earth today having a better day because of something that I did? You know? And, on the days where I'm feeling lowly and down in the dumps, it helps to think that, you know, maybe this is one of the reasons God put me here is to, I like to think that it was to be a positive influence on my kids and to be a positive influence on my grandkids. Those are my life's blood. But I also feel like I was put here to leave a positive impact, to leave the to leave this place going in a little bit more positive direction than when I got here.
Right.
And to see that or feel it, I really never understood what a difference that would make in my life.
Mhm. Beautiful. I think that's amazing. Yeah, because people need to realize, you're one person taking all this on and putting it all together, and that's just tremendous. And I give you so much credit. And yes, exactly. It's easy. Like a lot of people say, oh, I want to leave a positive mark, but you're actually walking the walk. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. Can I add one more thing though?
Of course, of course.
Well, two things.
Go ahead, please.
you know, you may be watching this and saying, "Well, I don't have a big production. I'm not, I don't know a poet laureate. How, what is, what I'm, how is what I'm doing? How can I make a difference?" Smiling at somebody, having that positive word. Wow, I really like that skirt. Walking up to a gentleman or walking past someone and saying, "Wow, your haircut looks nice." What we think of as the smallest things, you don't know. That person could be thinking about committing suicide.
Yeah, yeah. Or
Quitting
hurting
their,
somebody else. Yes.
hurting someone else, quitting their job. You don't know what is going on in people's lives. And if we could just stop for a second and give a little bit of grace to someone, the world could be such a different place than it is right now. So that's the last. So do not belittle yourself. You are important. You are beautiful, and you can make a difference, and you make a difference every day. It's what kind of difference do you choose to make? And then the very last thing is, on that note, I am an author as well.
Oh,
And yeah, I wrote a book and it's in Audible form. And it's called I Am a Dahomey Warrior. And it talks about a young girl up in Africa prior to the colonization. And it follows her through her trials and tribulations and what causes her to want to become a warrior. And it gives little girls and little boys like it too. It gives them a look inside of what hard work, determination, and sacrifice builds up to.
Concealed by vegetation, spears in hand, a configuration of huntresses lay in wait, listening actively, noticing the forest alive with its brilliancy. Water ebbing through a neighboring stream while insects traveled flower to flower, pollinating only the most colorful of the bounty. For a moment, the commander was transported back to more innocent times. She reminisced of her youth when she set quiet scenes such as these to canvas. Shrubbery breaking under heavy weight snapped her back to present day. Their prey ambled along the riverbank, bulls leading, calves following behind. A change in strategy was needed.
that's amazing. And where could we find this book?
It's on Audible.
Okay.
Yeah, I hired a young lady from Africa, from Nigeria, actually, and she voiced the character.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so it's called I Am a Dahomey Warrior. And it's also available, you know, in bookstores, some bookstores, but you can find it online if you Google I Am a Dahomey Warrior, or if you just Google me or go to my website, DionneHunter.com, which is DIONNE Hunter. So like Dionne Warwick without the money. If they're too young, they don't know who Dionne Warwick is, but DionneHunter.com, and you can find the locations there.
And I just have to say, yeah, I love that your name is Hunter. It kind of goes along with the warrior.
Yes,
Right?
yes. And I want to thank you so much because her Vision Film Festival, International Film Festival. What a phenomenal title, first off, giving voice to women from all over the world. It's a phenomenal thing that you're doing, and you need to give yourself a hand.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Thank
So
you.
thank you for having me.
Thank you. No, you've been so lovely to speak with. God bless you. And again, thank you for making a lovely, lovely film and a lovely, lovely event that's so empowering. So,
Thank you.
yes, thank
Thank
you.
you. And
Thank
if
you.
you're ever in Charlotte, come down here and let me know.
Oh, you won't be able to keep me away. Of course. Yes, yes. No, I'd love to, honestly. Yeah.
The next presentation is in October, so maybe we can kidnap you and bring you down here. October
Oh, that would be
26th.
nice. And it'd be nice and warm. It's already cold in October in New York.
Yes,
It'd be
yes,
nice and
yes.
just gets better and better. Oh, oh, God bless you. Truly, truly a pleasure speaking with you. And yes, just so much more great things to come.
Thank you. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Thank you, Dionne. Thank you.
I look forward to speaking with you soon, okay?
Yes, thank you, love. God bless you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.